All right, as the title suggests, we have something to talk about. I didn't think this was going to be the case today, but you know what? It's time. We got to break in here. And I didn't think that it was going to be this Sunday that would have us talking about some things. But you know what? This is definitely worth mentioning, for sure. Lightweight, baby. The Hive. But all right, yep, for those of you guys joining in, we'll give it a couple more seconds. We're going to keep this short and sweet. We're only going to do about a half an hour worth of live streaming tonight. We just want to talk about what we have overlaid on the screen here. This is our 12Z and our 18Z GFS. And this is starting to get a little interesting. Because it takes quite a bit of effort on the GFS's part to get a run-to-run, back-to-back level of consistency like this. So you know what? I told you guys if there was anything pressing to talk about that I would break live on a Sunday, and here we are. So what's going on? ASMR Hammy, good to see you. Miss Leah, hey. Harrison, hi there. Ethan, good evening, everybody. I don't expect a whole lot of people to join in tonight. This is off the cuff. This is off the fly. I've been watching this all afternoon, and to echo what I'd already mentioned, this is kind of interesting because, first of all hurricane season, the GFS has been the one that's everyone's been kind of like, it doesn't do very good, but I was astonished. And I even mentioned it earlier today to a friend of mine that, GFS, I anticipate that, we're going to get one run of something big and then it's going to disappear and we probably won't see it again, or it'll come back up a run or two later. To have it running like this, and I know it's only two runs, but this is groundbreaking for the GFS because the GFS is terrible run to run. So this has my attention. The Canadian model, going about 240 hours out, had something on 0Z and 12Z today as well in that exact same spot. And the ensembles for the Canadian are also highlighting a surge of activity. And I'm here to tell you why. I want to talk about this because I'm already noticing folks on YouTube bringing this up and bringing attention to it. And what I'd like to do tonight is kind of discuss what changed and why this is happening. So for those of you joining in, what I have on the right-hand side of the screen is our 12Z GFS. On the left-hand side, we have our 18Z GFS. And if you go through the loop, right about the time we see that deepening trend, this is 12Z on Sunday, October 22nd. And if you go through time, 12Z, October 22nd, we have really, really, really spot-on run-to-run consistency with the GFS. Really, really good run-to-run consistency. And for us to go from a hot model run at 12Z into an 18Z model run, that tells me something, because the 0 and 12Z models are the hot ones. Those are the ones that are taking in new analysis data and giving us a more accurate representation of the environment. And you all know through previous live streams and even just, observation throughout the hurricane season, it's typically the 6 and the 18Z that'll do things like this and create a huge storm and then make it disappear. So first of all, we got it on the 12Z. And second of all, it's now back-to-back happening this. Sharon Jackson, hello there. Good to see you in here. Will that hurricane hit Cape Coral on the modal? I'm not sure. I'm not going to start talking landfall yet. Right now, what we're doing right now is we're coming in here because I wanted to show you guys what has changed. And as soon as I saw this at 12 Zulu, I knew exactly what changed by looking over the United States once again. I had a feeling with all the hot water out there this would happen. Wasn't expecting you to be live today. Odell's Legacy, neither did I. But as soon as I saw 18 Zulu, sudden, because I'll admit, 12Z, I had my doubts. I'm like, okay, this happens on the GFS. Things will pop up and then they'll vanish. And I'm like, we'll see. If 18Z or the ensembles say something, I'll go live today and we'll talk about it. And then I saw 18Z ensembles lighten up like Christmas. And I see on the 18Z operational run that we still have something out there exactly the same, guys. And I am going to hype it up a little bit because with the GFS's track record, even if we see something run to run pop up, usually it's a totally different depiction. Like, let's say, for example, we've seen this a few times already. Let's say at 12Z we had something here pushing into Florida. Okay, whoa, yeah, big deal, hype up, nothing's happening. We'll say at the 18Z, we had something develop, but sometimes what it does is it'll do this, it'll go, or it'll go this way, or, it'll do this. Big change, but it'll still develop. For the fact that we have something here doing this, and then something here doing exactly the same thing, back to back, run to run, that definitely grabs my attention. And reason I think this is happening, and it's been across all of our models, so it's going to be very interesting as we get into this upcoming week and our other models can catch up, what's going to happen. Or if this is going to disappear. This could disappear overnight tomorrow, but what I think is going on, I'll show you right now. We'll go back to just one model, and we'll do, let's see, what'll be the best way to demonstrate this? We'll just use this. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, on my channel and on a lot of YouTube channels altogether, we've been talking about this major frontal system that's going to be working its way through the Central Plains into the Great Lakes, creating a lot of chaos for not only the Rocky Mountains and the Front Range, but the plains altogether. Like, you can see all those gradient level winds, all this wraparound moisture with it, and we're going to see a collision between our low that's moving in from the Gulf of Mexico and this system. And we're going to see a Hatteras low form up here, driving all that cold air even further to the south. What has happened over the last few days, and I'll actually go to 12Z yesterday to show you guys, once you get that big old low out of the picture, notice what happens. You see our high pressure down here? You see how that Hatteras low, once it develops, right there, you see it? Well, that's not a Hatteras low. That's a little bit more of a... we'll call it a Hatteras low, but it looks like the model's, stamping it to the north off the New Jersey, New York coastline. But anyways, kind of the same concept. We get cyclogenesis down in through here, and what happens is this 1032 high really goes through. It barrels through all the way through Central America, all the way into the East Pacific, all the way into the Caribbean. And if I switch the AOI and we go down to the Western Atlantic view, you can see that high pressure, look at that. That high pressure goes all the way through. You can see the front all the way down in through here, pushing into Central America. There's our high centered over Texas. Like, that is a deep cold plunge. And that's why we haven't seen anything down there. That's exactly why we hadn't seen anything on our models. But looking at the change, looking at the trends and what's happening over the United States, it's very interesting. And that's why I'm coming in tonight to tell you it might be a little more than just hype. We might actually have to watch this, because we'll go forward now to 12Z today. I'll go back in time so I can show you the progression. We'll go to 12Z today. Excellent run-to-run consistency. There's our Gulf of Mexico blob that we've been talking about for several weeks now. Even though it's not going to turn into a tropical system, we kind of hit that right on the money. So, very good forecast on our parts here in the Weather Center community. We've been talking about that for weeks, and even though it's not forming into a tropical storm, we're still getting something. So kudos to all of us here in the chat who've been focusing on that, talking about it, bringing awareness to it. But then check this out. So there's our system blowing up over the Gulf, over the Central Plains, moving into the Gulf. And then watch what happens. Watch what happens with our front here. And there's the high. Our high was supposed to migrate into Texas and force all that cold air down to the south, but take a look at what happens today. Look at how it stalls out. Look at how that high stalls out and begins to move off to the east. I'll change colors here so you guys get a good representation of it. There's our high, and look at where it decides to go instead of what we saw yesterday. Look at how that front has stalled out. Now, guys, if you remember, I had on that last panel, my front was all the way down through here. My front was way down into the Caribbean, moving through even Hispaniola, Haiti, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. Now, take a look at this model running what the trend has been today. Look at where that front is now. That front's maybe back up and through there, and that's quite a bit of a difference run to run. And then if you watch over the United States, look at where our high is now. Our high has completely changed positions. Yesterday, all of our models, the Euro, the Icon, the Canadian, the GFS, look at this right here. There's the high that was here parked over Texas. Now look at where it is on this run. High pressure 1024 over the Carolinas, over Virginia. That's a big difference. And what that tells me is we're not going to see that cold air plunge all the way through the Gulf of Mexico, like so, all the way through, clearing everything out. So that's why we have all that leftover moisture down here in a very, very primed area for tropical development. It's kind of the same story with what's happening in the Gulf with Tropical Depression 16 in the East Pac coming in like this. We have that frontal line that's going to chill there and help to really induce a little bit of a spin and then bring it up the Gulf Coast. Same concept here. The only problem is we're in a much more susceptible area for something to form, and I'll show you exactly why with that. There's been a lot of people bringing up the OHC. There's been a lot of people bringing up the sea surface temps. Miss Leah, you'd mentioned that as well with as hot as it is down there. Absolutely. The sea surface temps, the subsurface temperatures, check the box. We got that. Check this out. And this is what also has me a little more kind of intense about this. Bam, look at that. This is exactly at the same time, and then watch as you go towards when we're expecting development. Because that system isn't going to move to the south, look at how our shear stays up over the Gulf of Mexico. And then as a result of that jet energy digging in, look at what happens over the Caribbean. Nothing but a ridge, nothing but anticyclonic spinning. And you can check this on the European model as well. Look at that. At the Euro on the 18th at 12Z, very tail end of the run. Look at how that energy does not make it down into the Gulf anymore. And as a result, what goes up has to come back down. And with that system moving a little bit further to the east and evacuating out, we have very good conditions all through here for an anticyclone to pop up in the upper levels. Our shear is going to stay up to the north. And as a result, if something does get going with the onset of our next trough axes coming across the United States, I'll switch over to this. You see that? With that next trough coming through, and that jet max, we're only going to see intensification of that ridge in the Gulf of Mexico. And then, God forbid, if that frontal energy does develop something like the GFS and the Canadian are kind of hinting at, that's definitely... I'm going to hype that. I'm going to hype that because it's in there. It's in there like clockwork. You go to the back end of this run and look at that. Look at this frontal system right here coming across. I've analyzed this plenty of times. Look at the front right through here. Front's coming down. That means we have a trough in the upper levels. And as it digs down across, look at that, like clockwork. Very quickly. It's going to move fast. It's going to move very fast. At this point, we have a occluded system like so. We have front coming through like this. That front's going to scoop it, and it's going to push it right into either the west coast of Florida or through the Florida Peninsula. So you switch to the upper levels. You go to 200 millibars to check where that trough is, and look at where that trough is. That trough, I mean, it's a little weaker, and I think that's why we have a little bit more of a favorable setup in the Caribbean for something to form, but our trough axis is right there. So definitely worth talking about. Let me get to the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I was explaining. Hype Sunday, Odell's, yep, that's a high Cat 2, even a Cat 3, yep, absolutely. Oh no, right before Halloween, people will be out of power on Halloween if this hurricane hits Florida. Yes, it will, especially down there. As Tim McGraw and Jody Messena say, bring on the rain. Was the 0Z showing something similar? I don't know if the 0Z was showing it. I don't think we had seen that shift in the pattern until the 12Z data came in. Let's take a look. No, actually, yeah, the 0Z actually had it on there. I mean, a little bit further to the south, but you can see all that anticyclonic curvature down there. Yeah, see, 0Z had it forming, but you see what I mean with like GFS run-to-run consistency? GFS had it forming up, so it was showing development. It had something develop, but then it pushes it into the Yucatan Peninsula. So we did have something at 0Z. It did show formation, but it pushed it to the left. That's why I'm doing this live stream, because as you can see clearly, run-to-run with the GFS is garbage. So for it to go from 12 to 18Z like that, mint, run-to-run, and also reflect what has changed over North America, that has my attention. It's definitely worth talking about. Let's go to the Let's go to the GFS ensembles, because I know 18Z ensembles and even 12Z ensembles were starting to light up like Christmas time. Let's see if we have all of 18Z in yet. Not yet there. Let's go to mean sea level pressure so we can see it. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. Yeah, wow, look at that. It's definitely lighting up down there. Definitely a lot of good agreement now. and potent agreement at that. Like every single one of those cyclones is strong. Every single one of those cyclones is strong, and it could start forming up right at around the 215, 220 hour mark. So that's not too far into La La Land for the GFS. We'll fact check this going over to the Canadian ensembles as well, because I saw this overnight yesterday and this afternoon. We'll go to the ensemble mean sea level pressure here for 12Z. And yeah, look at that. Right around the same time. Same time, same place, same area, same intensity. Moving into that same general area, crossing Central America, and then starting to develop in the Caribbean and move north. Look at that. Same time, same place, same intensity. Good run-to-run between the Canadian and the GFS. So we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. It's definitely something worth mentioning. Was the 0Z showing something, Thomas? Yeah, we just covered that. We doing this right now, Griffin? We are, yeah. Where would that go? Florida, no doubt. Florida, no doubt. And if we do get something to form up in the Caribbean, it's going for Florida. I'm calling it. You can yell at me. You guys can flame me. You can unsubscribe. Please don't. But with what's going on over North America, and I'll show you again, with what's going on over the United States, over the lower 48, you look at even 500 millibars, and look at the ridge building out over the Caribbean. You got the trough digging in with our next big system. Then we have that ridge coming through. And then you see that? It's a little weak. We have a bit more of a zonal pattern. But there's our trough right there. Very weak, very low amplitude trough. And then we have a building ridge back behind it. Forgive me, that's not the indication for a ridge. That's the indication for a ridge. So if that does trend and we do see more and more agreement that could be formation, then Florida, definitely. Florida, 170,000%. And I'm not going to back down from that. Nazario, did you see my comment? How close are we? Was it on here? I'm sorry, I missed it. I don't see it in the chat. How close are we? 24 October, we'll likely see a large low pressure area with heavy rain. A tropical cyclone is unlikely because of El Nino. I don't know, PM. I'm looking at all the dynamics, and I'm not confirming or denying we're going to see anything, but with the way the pattern shifted with the most recent model data and the most recent analysis data being plugged into the models, it's definitely a lot more favorable than it was. Because, we'll go back in time once again. We'll go down there to the Western Atlantic. We'll go to the GFS, and we'll look at temperature this time. That's not going to pop up. We'll do wind shear then. We'll go wind shear instead. And we'll go to this time yesterday. We'll go to 12Z yesterday and look at the difference. Look at how much shear we get down there because of how far south that system moved. Look at all that shear. Like that's not going to form anything. That would not form anything. We wouldn't even get any kind of cyclonic development. We wouldn't get any rain out of that. All that shear, all that dry air associated with the trough and cold air advection is just going to wipe the area out. And that's why I really was not paying attention. I kind of just shut myself down from thinking tropics. I'm going to glance at them for sure, but then look at the difference. Look at the difference between 12Z yesterday and then 12Z today. Massive difference. Massive difference. Because you have that anticyclone forming up, and what that's going to do is keep all the more hellacious shear to the north. It's very weird. It's very hard to see on this, but right now what the GFS is showing is all that outflow with this storm. So don't get it confused. That's not a whole lot of shear. The main area of shear, and I'll use a white marker to show you, the main area of shear is going to be up and through here. That's where all that is. And then this is the anticyclone and all that shared energy between that building ridge and that jet. Because you guys remember, guys, this is 850 to 200 millibars. And where you really want to look at to find your wind shear is going to be 500 to 200 millibars. Because wherever your large-scale upper-level features are interacting, that's what helps to produce that wind shear. And you go to 200 millibars and look at that big old anticyclone right there. A lot more favorable than what it was at 12Z yesterday. See, look at that night and day difference. I don't even have to change the panel. 12Z then, 12Z then. Big difference. Look at how far to the north that jet stream is. The jet's way dug into the south. I'll even draw some lines here so we can mark the difference. There's where our trough was, the base of the trough, according to our runs yesterday. And then we'll go to 12Z today and look at the massive change. Look at the difference. Look at that difference. Big difference. And this is trended across every model. I bet you if I go to the Euro saying exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. It just doesn't go as far out. We go to 12Z yesterday. Look at the difference. I mean, it's night and day. Look at the difference. There's our trough coming in way down to the south, and the reason the ridge is still in place is because with more meridional and deep features, the pattern moves slower. That's why I mentioned yesterday in my video, the atmosphere wants to be in a state of equilibrium to where things can flow peacefully and kind of just do their own thing. Unfortunately, because of all the different dynamics on Earth, from physics to temperatures to different things, rotation, Coriolis, inertia, conservation of angular momentum, that's not going to happen. And that's why we have that big old ridge still parked out there, and our trough is still upstream. And if I change the perspective, we'll see it even better. We'll go CONUS, and look at that. Look at that digging trough. Big digging trough. And then you switch to today. Big difference. Big difference. And I know it still looks like a deep trough, but guys, what I'm not looking at is how deep it is. What I'm looking at is where it is. Because on the model data yesterday... on the model data yesterday, we had it here with a much bigger ridge out ahead of it, which means deeper systems, meridional pattern. It's going to slow everything down. It's going to dig much further to the south. Big difference with it being further downstream, because then look at this big old ridge coming in over western CONUS once again. And then there's our next system. So if anything develops, if anything does try to get going, this trough right there, I'm going to draw it for you guys. This one right here is going to be the primary reason that whatever does form in the Caribbean is coming right at us. And what I urge you guys to do is over the next few days, especially if this does start to trend, you definitely want to make sure that whoever it is that you're watching, if you're not watching this channel, explains the science behind it. If somebody tries to tell you, we're at the 12Z run today and nothing's there, nothing's going to happen, guys. See, it was hype. Have them, back them into a corner and tell them, explain why. Leave it in their comments. Tell them why. Ask why. Because it's not enough to say, oh, look, there was something there today and now it's not there, or there was something there yesterday and now it's not there today. Shut up. Nothing's happening. You're hyping. Don't let them fool you into that. Please don't. Let them go into the science. Let them prove themselves to you, because right now the whole purpose of this live stream is not even really to focus on this. I'm not even worried about that. That is likely going to change. It's likely going to transition. It's going to trend in different ways. What I'm more concerned about is what the pattern over North America is doing. That's the number one reason, because if it weren't for that big old pattern shift and weaker systems plunging through the south, we wouldn't have anything. Like I showed you guys earlier in the stream, that trough was expected to go way down into the Gulf of Mexico, into the Caribbean, all that cold air, all that good wind shear, all that that dry air advection was going to wipe the area out. There was no chance of development, no chance whatsoever. The fact that we had everything move to the north and now we're having more residual energy parked over the hottest part of the Caribbean, where CPC actually for that same time frame has a greater than 40% chance of development. Right there. That's why we're in here talking about this right now. It's not a matter of the GFS showing development. It's the fact that I actually agree that we could see development simply because of what's changed over North America. That's the number one reason. That's the science. I spoke too soon when I said Tampa Bay never gets hit ×2. Carmen, welcome in. Plot twist tomorrow. Goofy system shows no low. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's been trending on a lot of our models. We'll definitely see what happens. I'm still anticipating it's going to change, but I'm clearly watching what's going on over America, over Canada, over America. That's where my attention is. The GFS and the Canadian model showing formation, that's a result of what has changed over the United States. The fact that we had that big change in what the pattern is expected to do, where that high pressure at the surface was supposed to be over Texas, now it's up over the Carolinas and Virginia. That's a big difference. That's a big continental jump almost. So that's why we're talking about this tonight, and I want to air out my thoughts and my hypothesis for this new scenario, and we'll just see what happens. Hello from Houston. Gorgeous weather here. Malin Love 21. Very good. I'm excited for that. It's definitely been wonderful out here. I've had the Halloween theme blasting in my car because It feels like fall. It feels like Halloween time, and it's wonderful. That's why this is my favorite time of the year. No matter where you are, once that cool weather hits, and once you go outside, see all the high cloud and the cool sunsets, it just hits me right here in the feels. It's the best time of the year. You see the transition from hot summer, going to the beach, going to the water parks, to feeling that cozy feeling, that warm vibe of, I want some hot cocoa. I want some good holiday spirit. It's the best. It's so good. Left my windows open. I agree. I'm going to tell my Eclipse that I drive on the daily doesn't have AC. So it's been glorious driving it around with 70-degree temperatures. No way we're actually looking at a hurricane before Halloween. I'm not calling it just yet, but you know what? Because of what's changed over the United States, it's a little more likely. It's a little bit more out of that realm of impossible. It's definitely out of the realm of impossible. If that system was going to dig as far south as it was, look at the big difference. Look at where that trough is, comes in and moves fast, because we get another jet max building the ridge behind it. And then you go to 12Z yesterday, and look at how much deeper that trough wants to move in. You see that? Moves really into the deep south. And we still get that anticyclone, but it's sandwiched underneath all that troughing over the United States. So all of our shear is going to be right in through there. There's going to be no real moisture or anything like that to tap into in this source region. So big difference. We'll have to see if what over the United States continues to trend in all of our models, because if that trends, we could definitely see something in the Caribbean. Could it come up to Alabama? I'm not too sure. With where it's situated, if it gets going, guys, I'm saying that again and again and again, for those of you tuning in after this live stream is concluded, I'm saying if. The big takeaway is I'm not calling for development. I'm talking about how the shift over the United States could make something developing more favorable. I'm not saying the GFS is right spinning in a major hurricane. I'm saying that with the way things are shaping up in our long wave pattern with the jet and those cold air plunges, that could change things. But to answer your question, Valerie, with where you guys are and where the Gulf Coast is in relation to where this storm comes through and our trough coming in across the United States, it's only going to have a couple of different directions to go like this. That's it. We could see another Idalia. We could see another Ian, Charlie. Florida is definitely under the gun in this case, or the Bahamas and Cuba. Cayman Islands for sure. We're all going to have to pay attention to how this trends and how this shapes up. And again, not hurricane. What I'm saying when I say trend and how this shapes up is what the pattern over the continent of North America does. Because if we don't see the front come through and clear out all that leftover energy, then the likelihood of seeing something, whether it be like PM was saying, the low pressure El Nino style forming up, that goes up. A tropical system forming up, that goes up. That's what's going to be the big thing. If our pattern can stay very amplified like it is right now with those troughs coming in and digging across the southeast into the Gulf of Mexico, all bets are off. We're not going to see anything at all. It's going to stay cool. It's going to stay nice. We're not going to have anything going on. But if this continues and our models want to get those troughs moving further to the east faster, we're going to have a lot more energy down there and instability to work with. And that could definitely change the future. Oh, no, almost missed this. No, Anto, you made it just in time. Just in time. Unlikely Peninsula would be most likely. BSR hints a major storm over Tampa Bay area late October. Yeah, exactly. I agree, PM, definitely. Put this in your vid tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to. If this trends overnight, I got to be up super early tomorrow for the gym, but I'm very tempted to stay up and see what Zero Z says. I definitely want to see what Zero Z says because 18Z, it's not a hot model run. The 12Z did have it. The 12Z Canadian model, I'll show you guys, also had something. It doesn't go out as far as the GFS, but look at that big anticyclone. It's picking up on the same thing. And then you look at the precip. Forgive me for the guttural sounds, but people want to say hype and fear-mongering, but I'm not going to say the data's wrong. I'm not going to say I see no evil. It's a couple of different models, couple different ensembles as well. I want to see if we can get the GFS spaghetti plots in. I want to see if the spaghetti plots will come in because the low pressure centers are good, but I want to see what the tracks and the intensities are looking like off the GFS. No, see, it's still not there. Still not all the way there. 12Z didn't have a whole lot of, impressive stuff, but you go through and towards the very tail end, you do start seeing some development. I mean, it's very weak. Very weak. And then I don't know what the heck this is. GFS is calling for something out there in the MDR sneaking into the the Caribbean. I don't know about that. But 18Z, I almost want to stay on the stream to see what 18Z looks like. Let's see what the precipitable water control looks like, because this is the control model. This is an ensemble. This is still the GFS ensembles, but this takes into account all the ensembles. That's why it's called the control member. It takes all the ensembles and puts them together into one fun package. And let's see what the control member says. Yeah, see, the control member, it has something. It has something, but it doesn't move it. It doesn't move it. Let me see what 12Z shows. 12Z control member doesn't have anything forming. So the general ensemble agreement is there's not a whole lot of likelihood that we'll see something massive, but I mean, regardless, there's still a bunch of leftover energy down there, because you can see how that frontal system doesn't make its way all the way far enough to the south. It stays right up and through there. Whereas if we go to, and I'll show you, this is going to actually be a great tool to show you the difference. So remember that. I'll mark it on here as well. We'll do continuity. We'll do continuity like this. There's our front right there. There's where our dry air, all of our shear is. You go back to 12Z yesterday and watch the difference. I'll select a different pen color, and then we'll go through time. And wow, what the heck? This doesn't show. What the? I'm so confused right now. Why does it show? This is weird. Why does this show a different? This shows something totally different than what the main run was showing. That's interesting. All right, never mind. Disregard. Failure. We messed that up. Do you think the track could change on the model? I think the whole thing is going to change, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. No, it was on the video you did yesterday. I pointed this out just an hour ago. Let me take a look. I apologize. Why is my flashlight on? Let me go into my phone real quick. Go check the comments. GFS is a hurricane headed for Florida on 2 separate runs now, 12Z, 18Z. Yep, I agree. How close are we? I see your comment now. Thank you for putting that out there. So yeah, I mean, we have all the ensembles for 18Z, and look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, it's definitely going up and up and up. Going up. I really want to see the spaghetti plots, though. I don't want to see this, because this shows all lowering pressure. I want to see just how many members exactly are showing possible development. Come on, 18Z, hurry up. I'm going to give it a little bit longer. We'll try to give it to closer to 9. I'll give it another 10 minutes. I joined the live now. Ethan's Life, welcome in, and thank you for the $2 donation, buddy. Thank you very much, Ethan. I can't say enough how much I appreciate that. Odell's Legacy incoming, Weatherman plus huge. Yep. Calling it now. I said it's a very accurate prediction. We're going to come in and we're going to see the big hurricane icon moving up through the Gulf. So let's see. Yes, always question everything. I agree. Yes, if you guys are talking about what I mentioned earlier, if you see people talking about this, anybody for that matter, and I'm not throwing shade, I'm not trying to talk bad or attack anybody. All I'm saying is if you see other YouTube channels or even other social media sources on Instagram, on Twitter and all that, trying to say yes or no immediately, no we should not be given a cut and dried answer to this. There should be no yes and there should be no. Like, I'm not on this stream saying, get ready, hurricane. What I'm saying is the pattern is changing. So if we have energy down there, it has a little bit more of a chance to develop now. Because over the last few days, I've been watching like I always do, and the pattern suggested no, no, no. That was a hard no. The reason we're in this live stream right now is because of what's changed in the big picture that could suggest, okay, I'm going to revoke my no now. We could. The impossibility has now shifted to a maybe. And I know that's not concrete. I know that doesn't help at all, but it's way out there. There's still a lot of time for things to change. We could see some more potent frontal systems come through and clear everything out, and nothing happens. We just go into Halloween with great weather, which, I mean, I'm not complaining about either. It gives me a chance to dress up and go out. Sorry if this is a stupid question. Is rapid intensification do with warm water, or is it quickened by the jet stream? I know probably sound really no, not at all, Thomas. That's actually a great question, and it actually makes a lot of sense in either category. So for warm systems like tropical systems, rapid intensification does have absolutely everything to do with warm water and then what's going on in the upper levels. We don't want the jet nearby for our tropical systems. For something like what's going to happen over the central plains, we'll switch over to the United States again. For something that's going to happen like that, this guy right here, I'll draw it so everyone can see. With this thing, yes, the jet stream and a very powerful jet working its way into a system like that, absolutely. Rapid intensification for sure. That's why if you go through the loop, I know this is the Canadian model, but you can see it deepening down into something that would be tropical storm strength. I mean, look at that, a 989 millibar low over Nebraska, Kansas. So the jet does aid in rapid intensification. It just depends on the type of system. Warm core tropical, it'll destroy it. Anything polar or Arctic or over the land that forms as a result of upper level dynamics, the jet will definitely give it a boost. Definitely. Linda Glenn, good evening. Nancy Gokul, Vero Beach, Florida here. Good to see you. Nancy, thanks for tuning in. Linda Glenn changed her mind. I did. I changed my mind. I missed you guys that much. We didn't get to hype up enough on Friday, so I figured I would hype up and, we're here. I'm late, Dark Earth. Thank you for joining in either way. We have a lot of people in here for a Sunday, too. Very nice. Friday, it was nothing. Sunday, it is something. It ain't over till December. I agree. Wilma Jr., you never know. Tammy, yes. LMAO, anything on the Korean model? As a matter of fact, you know what? Glad you brought that up. 18Z is not going to go that far out. But we'll pull up the Korean model for Central America. We'll go Caribbean, and we'll go 10-meter wind. And right about at the same time, you can see that the KMA doesn't want to bring that front end too far to the south. And look at what you have there going on. There's a little bit of something spinning right there. Little bit of something going on. So this still has the front digging in a little bit further to the south, but then it has it retrograding it. So we'll see what happens. So there are a few models showing something. Like you said on your last stream, if you go live on Sunday, it's serious. I'm going to watch trends too, stay up for the 0Z run, not letting my guard down. Agreed, it is worth talking about. Exactly, yeah, I definitely agree. And that's what I'm trying to bring to this live stream before anybody else talks about it, before anybody else can say that they talked about it first. I'm not trying to win a race here, not at all. I just want to communicate what my mind is telling me to you guys, because I know what's going to happen. The reliable official sources are probably going to dig into the science. But the people who just want to hype and the people who just want to go off of models, they're going to tell you, oh, yeah, look, hurricane, there it is, get ready. And then the next day, if it's not there, they're going to say, oh, well, bust, no hurricane, forget it, I'm sorry I said anything. And they're not going to investigate why the changes, why we're having these changes, why all of a sudden we went, like Robert was saying, why we went from nothing to, oh my God, major hurricane? It's not a matter of the model showing a major hurricane. It's the fact that something changed to where the model is saying we could see a major hurricane. That's another thing too, guys. Like the models that far out, they're not forecasting that that's definitely going to happen. Definitely hurricane. Definitely big. No, what the models are showing us, since it's a forecast, it's showing us that these are the dynamics in play. So at that time in that area, conditions could show something forming like this. That's what it's showing. It's not saying yes hurricane, no hurricane. What it's showing you is what the environment could do. I know that sounds a little bit of the same, but it's in my mind, it's different. Maybe I'm just not communicating it right. There is kimchi on the Korean. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving feast tomorrow in Canada. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. That's exciting for you guys. I love Thanksgiving. How close are we? Different areas. We definitely, everyone observes different holidays at different times. It's also Autumn Festival of Booths. It's holiday season. Cool weather. Pumpkin spice smells great. Oh, man, PM, you're speaking my language right now. Look at the smile forming on my face. I love that stuff. I love all the holidays. Like, I know I go a little gung-ho with Michael Myers and scary stuff, but, like, all of it. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I'm not a big party animal. I don't go wilding out all the holidays, but I'm a very old soul, and I love just, like you were saying, PM, I love the warm, coziness of a fire, coffee, hot cocoa, the festivities of gathering with friends and family, the great weather. It's just, it's so wholesome, You don't get that during the summer. Summer's like, that's when you go wild. That's when it's like, we got to plan a vacation, we got to go to the beach, we got to go to the theme parks. But like the holidays, that's when you travel, you tuck yourself in with your family, and, you enjoy, you make memories. And that's what I love about this time of the year so much. Breaking live. Yes, Scrooge McDuck, we're talking science. We're talking what's changing in the overall pattern that maybe we could see something when CPC is thinking that there's a higher chance of development. Because you look at the time frame, 18th through the 24th, and it's very ironic that right now we're at a 20+%, and then right around that time that the GFS and the Canadian are showing something forming, even the Korean model, you could say, we go above 40%. And I know last time when we saw this popping up out here in the main development region and in that same area when Adalia showed up, CPC isn't 100% accurate. I mean, no one is 100% accurate. No computer model, no forecaster, nothing. But like, just going off of history, it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. It was a matter of when are we going to see something? And it's crazy that now in that October 18th to the 24th time frame, we've seen that pattern shift. And now the models are saying something. Definitely worth talking about. Elite, earlier when you mentioned your comment of staying up, I absolutely agree. It's definitely worth watching. It's definitely worth watching the pattern and how much energy we have floating around down there. You should do a poll on your community page asking, that's a good idea, Ethan. I'll write that down. That's a good one. Canada observes Thanksgiving, second Monday in October, same day as Columbus Day in America. The original Thanksgiving in America was October. Watching from SXM, thank you. Grace, very welcome. Thanks for tuning in. This is why I watch your channel. Nancy, thank you very much for that. Appreciate you guys. Amen, brother. Screw yeah, guys. I mean, this is great. And I want to start doing more holiday stuff on the channel. I know that it's supposed to be all things weather, but at the same time, like, it's a community, and we got to have fun during the holidays. I mean, let's say, for instance, this does happen. If this does happen, I know everyone's going to be, oh gosh, the fear-mongering, the hype. But at the same time, I mean, we're going to put a lot of emphasis in it, but I also want to have fun with it too. I want to, still celebrate Halloween, still do some live streams, still do some holiday shenanigans with everybody. And you never know. If this does happen, we could do a storm chase and a Halloween pre-meet kind of thing. So... Whoops, I'm getting too excited. I'm knocking my mic around now. Maybe this is what's going to happen. We called it a little early on Friday the 13th, and maybe it's meant to be Halloween this year. You never know. All right, I see the time. It's 10 to 9. Let's go ahead and see if now do we have our ensembles in, if we have our spaghetti plots in, and then we'll start wrapping up the stream. Let's see. There we go. We got it. We only have the very end of the run for some reason, but look at that. Look at all that. Wow. That's... And the GFS is indicating that something could be sneaking into the Caribbean, too. There's even more agreement out there. Look at that, guys. Wow. What's very interesting on this, though, is the deterministic model has it doing something like this, going up the western coast. What's interesting with these ensembles, though, is there's a lot more agreement of it almost missing Florida, or almost being a South Florida event, moving over the Cayman Islands, Cuba, and into the Bahamas. So we'll have to see what happens here. That's also very interesting. Very interesting. 4-hour stream until 0Z comes out. Do it. Let's do it, guys. 4-hour live stream. I'm going to change this for caffeine. We're doing it. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're not going to do that. On the model, it will change direction. I think so. Now, what will concern me big time, and I'm telling you guys right now, this is when I give myself and you guys free reign to start the hype. Like, engage, sound the alarm, ring the bell, hype it up. If we wake up tomorrow and we do our 8 p.m. live stream, our scheduled 8 p.m. live stream, and this hasn't changed, if we wake up tomorrow and it hasn't changed, if we come into our 8 p.m. Tropics talk and this hasn't changed, sound the alarm. If we get that much consistency with the GFS and other models and ensembles, then I'm saying we're ringing the bell. We're ringing the hype bell. Yes, food, love food, pie, turkey. Oh, yeah, I can go on for days about how much I love to eat this time of year. It's the best time to do it. It's the best time to excuse yourself from a diet or anything like that. And just, if you're into fitness, keep working out, keep doing your thing, but also just enjoy. Have fun, embrace it. You never know, as morbid as this may sound, but you never know what God's plan is for you. This might be the last time you get to share those moments with your loved ones. So treat it like it is your last. And I don't want to sound morbid or, disgusting. I'm just saying, you never know. Like, the holidays are a special time of the year, and they should always be treated as such. Regardless of if, something big happens, every year you just never know what's going to happen next year. You never know what's going to change. You never know who's going to leave, who's going to move, who's going to, unfortunately, dare I say it, pass on. And it's a year gap, as we know. Holidays only come once a year, so there's a big time gap in between this year and 2024, so you just never know. And that's why I love the holidays so much, and I don't care how old I get. I'm always going to be the same goofy adult, same goofy parent, same goofy whoever, hyping up Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, trying to do all the festivities and enjoy it, because you just never know. You just never know, and that's why you got to take full advantage and live it to the fullest. Embrace everybody you can. Then comes spring and Passover time, get to barbecue and enjoy lamb. I like holidays one at a time. I agree. I don't want it to rush. You think this cold front has cooled the Gulf down enough to kill off any strengthening storm? Not at all, Mike Hawk, not at all. That's kind of what we were talking about, too, is looking at the way things are changing. You can see that on, where's the sea? Oh, here it is, right here. We are starting to see some cooling out there, but it's not enough to shut everything down. It's definitely not enough to shut it all down. Like, look at that. And where this thing is forming, where this thing would form down in this region, we're still way up there into the hot temps to really blow something up. You can see that we are starting to see some cooling along the coastline. So yeah, if it goes up towards the Panhandle or Alabama, as one of the viewers mentioned earlier, then yeah, we could see it go through an eye wall replacement cycle, weaken down like Idalia did. But if it moves like the ensembles are thinking up towards the Cayman Islands, Cuba, it'll stay strong. If it moves in like Ian did, or even like Charlie did in Fort Myers area, it'll stay strong. It'll definitely stay strong. Let's see. Wow, very interesting. There may be first snow for Canada tomorrow. Lake effect thunderstorms, interesting. Oh, that's cool. I had mentioned that on my videos a couple days ago, that we could see some lake effect up there. Very nice. I was hyped for a 4-hour live stream. I don't think I have it in me to do a 4-hour live stream. I'm sorry about that. One day, though, if we do get something and we're not out storm chasing, we'll definitely do a long-term live. We'll hold out as long as we can. JJ614, you know what? I'll admit, as I've gotten older, my taste buds must have changed, and I've come to really like stuffing as well. I could eat a whole thing of that if I had the opportunity. Me too. I was about to switch my Valerian tea for some coffee. Dang, I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, if this continues to trend, we'll start doing that. We'll start planning them out. It's all about priorities. Amen. I just made a coffee, too. I'm so sorry, Elite Chief Stark. I mean, coffee does sound good right about now. Chris Linder, Life Coach Nazario. There we go. We have Weather Center Nazario and then Life Coach _ Nazario. We'll start doing a channel like that as well. Even at 2 weeks out. J-Ski, we're not talking about hurricane specifically. I feel like my light just dimmed. Did it dim down or something? Or it did dim down. Why did it do that? I noticed it got a little dimmer in here. It's not a matter of the hurricane itself forming up. What I'm talking about is we've seen a big change in what our upper air pattern was doing. We were expecting a couple of new troughs and a couple of more fronts to come through the Caribbean and just kind of wipe everything out. No moisture, cool air, and that's why I honestly believed we weren't going to see anything. Maybe this is the end. But with that big change and our front staying to the north now and the trough moving across the east coast as opposed to digging in through the Gulf, that changes our, that changes our favorability of seeing something decide to develop. I really hope this hits Tampa, where I live, is still experiencing the driest year on record. Ethan, hold out a little bit longer, because I do believe we're going to see some rain out of what's coming across the Gulf, at least Lord willing. It's still on track. It's still all set to come through and rain out on everybody. What's going on now? We're just talking change in pattern, possibility of development. My mom makes the best cornbread. Ooh, all right, now my stomach's starting to growl. We got to end the live stream here in a moment. Tell me what's going on in late phase. So in long story short, we'll go over to the models. Look at all the ensembles right here. We got a lot of agreement that something could be coming up out of the Caribbean. There goes my giant pen, but I guess it's fitting for this moment. We'll change the ink. We'll go over to our computer models over here so I can show you guys. And what I'll do is we'll change the AOI and we'll actually do southeast. We'll do the southeast so we can see. But as you go towards the end of the run, for those of you who may be tuning in or just wondering for a broad overview, this has been trending now for a little bit. There goes our first system, lots of rain, and then look at what comes out of nowhere. Bam. 968. 968. 968, guys. And you go to 12Z, it's still there. Still there. Still there. So, I don't know. This almost looks like what the GFS was predicting could happen with Ian when he came up. Do something like this and then go into the Cedar Key area. Very interesting. Ring the bell if the 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. runs show the same thing you said in the morning but referenced 8 p.m. Yes, Luca, what I'm saying is if we have this happening throughout the day today, 12, 18Z, if we see it on 0Z, that's another ding. If we see it at 12Z again, that's another ding. And if we come into my 8 p.m. live stream tomorrow and we still see this, then we can start ringing the bells. Start ringing the bells. If we see 24 hours worth of continuity back to back to back, start ringing the bells. Start talking about it, definitely. Very dry in Ocala. Nazario, try Caribbean stuffing for Thanksgiving instead of normal stuffing. It's so much better. Ooh, okay, Caribbean stuffing. I like that. I'm going to have to check that out. So weather won't cool down in South Florida? No, unfortunately, it's not looking like it. I mean, maybe when that next system comes through, we'll see a little bit of a cool down. It is going to plunge a little further to the south, so we'll see. Guam as America can mention Tropical Storm Belavin. It could be significant for Marianas. Let me see. Let's go ahead and... let's go to Google because I think that's Southern Hemisphere. Tropical Storm Belavin. FEMA urges Guam, Mariana Islands to prepare ahead of Tropical Storm Belavin. Wow. There's stuff firing off everywhere. This isn't going to have anything. This is FEMA's website. Let's go down here. I see a track. There we go. So we have something popping off everywhere. This is going to be a big hurricane too. Look at that. I have or I had, it's been a little bit. I'm not sure if they're still down there, but I have Air Force weather friends who are stationed in Guam right now, or they were anyways. I wonder if they're still there. There is a freaking armed suspect in my neighbor. Isaac, you better be careful. Don't mess around with that. If you have weapons in the house, definitely keep them close. Dark Earth, thank you so much, darling, for the $5 donation. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Thank you, guys. Honestly, I never thought turning on Super Chats would yield this kind of results, but I can't tell you how much appreciated that is for me, especially since all this is just going to go right back into this setup. That's exactly what I intend to do. Every little bit that I can get off of YouTube, all I want to do is continue to revamp my coverage, revamp my workspace, revamp the office space, and just make it to the best of my ability what I can do to provide long-term content all the way through. Would that be potential, Tammy? You never know. It could. It could. PM, I agree. Get armed, Isaac. Yes, definitely. Yeah, we have our weapons handy. Good stuff. Yes, definitely. I make sure to keep at least 100, 200 rounds in my top drawer of my dresser and a 9mm right next to my bed. Just in case. Just in case I'm exposing myself on YouTube. Don't demonetize me for that, but I'm just saying, home defense. Self-defense. Ladies and gentlemen, self-defense is a key to living a long-term life. Don't start the fight, but finish it. This is always first to pick up something because it just throws anything out there. Yes, how close are we? I agree. It's just that it's trending. It's going back to back, run to run. Could it get pushed towards Cape Coral if there's a front? It could, yes. Well, another 24 hours, and we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens tonight and into tomorrow. What's the difference between 12 to 18Z? One is more. Yes, Thomas. So 18 and 6Z, if the models generate 18 to 6Z model data, they go off of continuity. There's no fresh data being put into the computer. 0 and 12Z, what happens is you have all the folks putting up their Raywin SONs, their drop SONs, they have all the weather balloons going up across the globe, and all that fresh data goes into 0 and 12Z forecast models. So you have fresh data going into the computers, and that's why it's a little more accurate. Also, Ring of Fire eclipse of the sun this weekend. Ooh, yeah, we have a good weekend ahead. Well, I mean, we might not be able to see it. We might not be able to see it down here because all that rain. Nazario, it's the mashed potato stuffing from the Virgin Islands. I'm so happy. Oh, my God. All right. We got to stop the talking about food, guys. We can share meals and whatnot when we get into Thanksgiving time, but shucks, I'm a sucker for mac and cheese and mashed potatoes especially. Isaac, we're in Florida. Is it second cyclone typhoon for Guam? I track much of the world. That's good stuff. I need to start doing that, honestly. And pay attention to the dogs in your neighborhood, especially if you own... Yes, very good point, Dark Earth. Very good point. Stay frosty, stay strapped, stay dangerous. Ayy. Just kidding. Thanks, Nazario. Sharon Jackson, signing out. We all believe in you, Naz. Miss Leah, thank you very much. Yes, true, I do have dogs, and they have been super hearing. Yes, they're going to be crucial. I have a feeling this will be Ian 2.0. Lord willing, it won't. Lord willing, it won't. Because also what's scary is we had Wilma. Wilma bombed out down there in October. And that's like, you know, that general area, we could definitely see some really pop-off tropical systems if this does stay true. If this does happen, if the pattern stays consistent up and through here, you know, systems moving fast and we have all that leftover energy down and through here, it's fair game. It's fair game. There it is, Kevin. Mac and cheese right now. I like it. I like it. I have a feeling this will be into taco tater tot casserole right now. Ooh, gosh, that sounds fantastic as well. It's in Eustis, Florida. Phase Jarva 175. I'm going to look that up on the news here in a second. 2A, baby. All right, so guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We went to a full hour again. I didn't want to do that. I told myself I wasn't going to do that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If you have anything that you'd like to talk about, if there's anything new that you want to continue to address, please, please, please leave them in the comments. I'm very, very consistent on checking those out and getting back to you guys. So please definitely make sure if you have anything else that we couldn't discuss in the chat because I'm logging off of here, we'll talk about it in the comments. I'll get back to you one way or another. Drop me a line on my Instagram if you want as well. I've had a few people reach out there, and I've kept up some good conversation there as well. As a matter of fact, shout out to Digital Dentistry. I'm not sure if you're in here. I haven't seen him pop up. Shout out to Digital Dentistry because if you guys remember on Friday, he was the one in the chat who said, let's look at 18Z ensembles. Let's look at the GFS. And it's because of him that I've been a little more fixated on that area. And lo and behold, look what happened. So I don't think we've ever seen a 2-run consistent. It hasn't come true, but we'll see. I agree. That's another thing that has me like, whoa, okay. Because usually GFS, like when it shows something, it does this. Oh, snap, hurricane. Oh, snap, it's going this way. Oh, snap, it's going that way. Oh, snap, nothing. Oh, shoot, it's going south. It's going like this. You know, like to see back-to-back runs of the GFS showing something has my attention. Has my attention. FYI, so glad I found your channel, MJ. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you did too. I'm very thankful for everybody joining in, tuning in, having these conversations. It's a wonderful time. I love talking to everybody. It's great. Such good vibes, good energy, and especially as we get into the holidays, I want us all to embrace that holiday cheer, holiday spirit, and if anything does happen, we'll ride it out together. You can guarantee that. I don't think we ever say good night, stay well. Linda, you as well. Thank you. This will be an interesting storm setup. It will. Thanks, Weather Center Nazario. Kevin, very welcome. Should we be worried about the rain, thunder on Thursday onwards? Not worried, but we're definitely going to get some sporty stuff out of that thing. That's for sure. We've been talking about it for a while, and it's coming in. That's for sure. So we'll have to see. We're definitely going to get some sporty weather for sure. Cheers, bud. Broad Bill Hunter, I don't have my brewski with me. It's not Friday. I have water. Carmen, if you're still in the chat, I'm drinking my water religiously. But cheers nonetheless, Broad Bill Hunter. If it rains a lot, then we could get flooding. Yes, it definitely will. If it does rain and dump down, like some of them are indicating, some of our models are indicating 2 to 4 inches. So we'll definitely see. I'm going to keep a close eye on that, and I'm definitely going to watch that Caribbean area. You know, if it washes out overnight, it's not like any talking about this is in vain, but we'll see, because we're seeing it on a few different models. So it's not like if the GFS washes it out, then nothing else has it. So we'll have to see what every single model does. Good night, pal. I salute thee. Thomas Denton, I'm giving you a genuine salute back at you. That's the actual salute from the United States Air Force, United States military. Pierre Mio, I'm so glad you're here. I'm very glad to be here with you guys, for sure. It's It's very kind how everyone's received this channel, and I want to continue to exude that kindness back to you guys. Will Fort Lauderdale get rain? Hopefully. We're going to see a lot of shower activity, and whatever doesn't stay close to that storm itself, we're probably going to see some stuff pop off over the peninsula if we can get some good daytime heating and sunshine forming up. So we'll talk. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow in the Tropics Talk, we'll dig a little more deeper into it. We'll also have our full segment of Weather Center Nazario coming at you. We'll talk a little bit more about the incidentals as we get closer to Wednesday and Thursday, and we'll see what happens. Can't wait for the 0Z GFS run. Very interesting. We'll see if this trends. We'll see if we can get more back-to-back consistency, because if we do, then that's definitely worth talking about, definitely worth bringing to everyone's attention. You're the only meteorologist I trust. You watch the Atlantic like no other meteorologist has. Thank you, Pierre. I can't thank you enough for that. Thank you for the kind words and support. What other models indicate the same trend indicating track towards? So Canadian model has something. Canadian, I'm not going to pull it up, but Canadian model, the GFS, the KMA has something forming down there. GFS ensembles, we're looking at them right now. GFS 12Z ensembles had stuff on there. Canadian ensembles are very aggressive, forming something up at the same place, same time, same intensity. So we have, it's not a whole lot of overlap yet, but we do have some overlap. It's not the GFS doing one run and that's it, then it's gone. We have some overlap already, so we definitely gotta keep an eye out. This is under investigation officially. I'm putting my spectacle, my private eye spectacle on, and we're gonna watch. But all right, guys, like I said, if you have anything you'd like to continue to discuss, please leave it in the chat. Not the chat, excuse me. Please leave it in the comments section. I'm going to wrap up. It's 9 o'clock. I got to get ready for the rest of the evening and get ready for an early wake up tomorrow. We'll definitely talk to you tomorrow. We'll have our full segment at 6 p.m. and we'll have our live stream at 8 p.m. So we'll definitely talk to you guys very soon. And I'm going to cut this off. Forgive me. I'm not trying to be rude, but I know if I keep talking, we're going to spend another 20, 30 minutes on here, and it's getting late. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow for our next full segment, our next Tropics Talk at 8 p.m. God bless. We'll definitely keep an eye on this thing. We'll definitely keep an eye out, because there's some things that mention it's not out of the realm of possibility. So it's definitely worth investigating. But until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you soon. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.